The metallic tang of blood filled my mouth as I hit the hardwood floor, the impact jarring my teeth and sending stars exploding behind my eyelids. "Welcome back, kid," my stepfather growled. His fists still clenched, knuckles split from the force of the blow. I lay there, sprawled in the dim foyer of our old Victorian house, the musty scent of mothballs and stale beer clinging to the air like a bad memory. My suitcase had tumbled open beside me, spilling clothes and trinkets from my year abroad, souvenirs from a life I'd tried to build away from this hell. His boot pressed into my ribs, not hard enough to crack bone, but enough to pin me like a bug under glass. "Thought you'd forgotten your place," I gasped, tasting copper, my vision blurring as hot tears mixed with the blood trickling from my split lip. Fury surged through me, a wildfire igniting every nerve, but humiliation doused it just as quickly. This was home. This was the welcome after boarding the first flight back, leaving behind friends, a budding career in graphic design, all because Mom's frantic call had pleaded. "He's changed, honey. Come home. We need you." Betrayal twisted in my gut like a knife. Mom's betrayal for staying with this monster. His for pretending to be anything but the brute he'd always been, and mine for believing the lie. Pushing myself up on trembling arms, I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand, smearing red across my skin. The house felt smaller now, the wallpaper peeling in yellowed curls, the grandfather clock ticking like a countdown in the hallway. "What the hell, Frank?" I spat, my voice raw, but he just laughed, a low, guttural sound that echoed off the walls. "Language, Alex. Your mother's upstairs resting. Don't want to wake her with your whining." He loomed over me, his beer belly straining against a stained flannel shirt, eyes bloodshot from whatever poison he'd drowned himself in that day. Frank had always been a drinker, but after Dad died when I was 10, he'd slithered into our lives like a shadow, promising stability. Mom married him 2 years later, desperate for a provider. I'd endured his discipline through high school. Belts, slaps, the occasional shove, but I'd escaped to college overseas, vowing never to return. Till now. I staggered to my feet, clutching my side, the pain a sharp reminder of why I'd left. "I'm 25, you bastard. You can't just..." His hand shot out again, grabbing my collar, yanking me close enough to smell the whiskey on his breath. "I can do whatever I want in my house. You think you're hot shit now with your fancy art degree. You're nothing but a freeloader crashing back here." He shoved me away, and I stumbled into the wall, knocking a framed photo of Mom and me to the floor. Glass shattered, slicing into my palm as I caught myself. The cut burned, but it was nothing compared to the rage boiling inside, a cauldron of resentment I'd suppressed for years. Upstairs, Mom's voice called weakly. "Frank? Alex? Is everything okay?" Her words were slurred, probably from the pills she took for her nerves, the ones Frank doled out like candy to keep her compliant. Frank's face softened into a mask of concern, the switch so seamless it chilled me. "Just a little roughhousing, dear." Alex tripped over his bag. "Be right up." He turned back to me, his smile vanishing. "Clean this up. And stay out of my way." As he lumbered up the stairs, each creak of the wood amplifying the silence that followed, I knelt amid the debris, picking glass shards from my skin. Heartbreak washed over me, for Mom trapped in this cycle, for the child I'd been cowering, for the adult I'd become still powerless. But beneath it, resentment festered, turning to obsession. Why had I come back? To save her? Or to finally confront the monster who'd stolen my childhood? That night, I lay on my old twin bed in the attic room, the slanted ceiling pressing down like a coffin lid. Moonlight filtered through dusty curtains, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. My ribs throbbed with every breath, a rhythmic reminder of the beating. I traced the bruises forming on my cheek in the cracked mirror across the room, the purple bloom a badge of humiliation. Denial crept in first. Maybe it was a one-off stress from Mom's illness. She had cancer, stage 3, the reason for her call. But no, Frank's eyes had held that familiar gleam of control, the same one from when he'd locked me in the basement for talking back at 15. Fantasies swirled in my mind as sleep evaded me. I imagined grabbing the poker from the fireplace downstairs, swinging it into his smug face, watching him crumple. Justice sweet and bloody. But doubt followed. Would Mom forgive me? Was I capable? The thought sent a shiver through me, guilt mingling with resolve. I wasn't a killer, but the seed of vengeance had been planted, watered by years of suppressed rage. The next morning, sunlight pierced the attic like accusatory fingers. I descended to the kitchen, the aroma of burnt toast and coffee assaulting my senses. Mom sat at the table, frail in her robe, her once vibrant hair now thin and gray. "Alex, sweetheart," she whispered, reaching for my hand. Her touch was cold, papery. "I'm so glad you're home." I forced a smile, hiding the wince as I sat. "Me too, Mom." Frank was at the stove, flipping eggs with exaggerated cheer. "Morning, kid. Sleep well." His tone was light, but his eyes dared me to mention last night. I swallowed my anger, the words sticking like thorns. "Fine." The dialogue felt scripted, a farce to maintain the fragile peace. Over breakfast, tension hummed like electricity. Mom chattered about doctor's appointments, her voice trembling. "Frank's been a rock, you know. Driving me everywhere." He patted her shoulder, the gesture possessive, and I saw it, the subtle manipulation. He'd isolated her, convinced her she needed him. My stomach churned. After she retired to the living room for her shows, Frank cornered me by the sink. "Listen up. Your mom's delicate. Don't go stirring shit about old times. She's got enough on her plate without your drama." "Old times," I hissed, keeping my voice low. "You mean the times you beat me black and blue?" He chuckled, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Tough love, boy. Made you who you are." His casual dismissal ignited something primal. In that moment I saw the layers. His insecurity masked by violence. His need to dominate stemming from his own failed life as a mechanic whose shop had gone bankrupt. But understanding didn't excuse him. It fueled my cold resolve. That afternoon, while Frank napped in his recliner, snoring like a chainsaw, I slipped into the garage. The space was cluttered with tools, oil stains on the concrete floor, the air thick with grease. I rifled through drawers, my heart pounding. A hammer here, a wrench there, potential weapons. But no, too crude. Revenge needed finesse, something that would unravel him slowly, make him suffer as I had. Back in my room I paced, the floorboards groaning underfoot. Inner conflict raged. Part of me wanted to pack and flee, but obsession rooted me. I sketched in my notebook, dark, swirling images of shadows consuming a figure, my mind's eye projecting the plan. Doubt whispered, what if I got caught? Fear of prison, of becoming like him. But moral ambiguity pulled me deeper. Was justice worth the stain on my soul? Days blurred into a slow burn. I played the dutiful son, helping Mom with meals, her grateful smiles piercing my heart. Frank watched me warily, his barbs subtle now. "Still unemployed, huh? Figures." Each jab stoked the fire. One evening, as rain pelted the windows, creating a symphony of drips, Mom confided in me while Frank was at the bar. "He's not all bad, Alex. He loves me in his way." Her eyes pleaded for understanding, but I saw the bruises on her arms, faint but telling. Heartbreak swelled, her denial mirroring my own past self. "That's not love, Mom." My voice cracked, resentment toward her bubbling up. Why hadn't she left? But guilt followed. She was sick, vulnerable. That night, alone in the attic, I researched on my laptop, the screen's glow illuminating my bruised face. Articles on poisons, untraceable accidents, fantasies turning to plans. Suspense built in my chest, a taut wire. Was this me? The artist who dreamed of creating beauty, now plotting destruction. A week in, the first hint of vengeance emerged quietly. I tampered with his truck's brakes. Just a loose bolt, nothing fatal yet. Strategic, testing the waters. As he drove off to work, the engine rumbling like thunder, I watched from the window, pulse racing. Would he notice? Crash. The weight was agony, doubt gnawing. When he returned unscathed, cursing the damn potholes, relief and disappointment warred within me. Mom noticed my distraction. You seem tense, honey. Everything okay? I nodded, suppressing rage. Just adjusting. But inside, obsession grew, layered with guilt. What if she got hurt in the crossfire? The turning point came mid-part 1, during a family dinner. Candlelight flickered on the dining table, casting elongated shadows. Frank raised his glass. To family reunions. His sarcasm dripped. I clinked glasses, my hand steady despite the storm inside. As we ate, he prodded. So, Alex, any girlfriends overseas? Or are you still playing for the other team? Homophobic jab, knowing my bisexuality from a high school confession he'd mocked. Mom shifted uncomfortably. Frank, please. But he pressed, laughing. Humiliation burned, old wounds reopening. Under the table, my fist clenched. That night, resolve hardened, cold, unyielding. I'd make him pay, not with violence, but with ruin. I began gathering evidence. Photos of Mom's bruises, recordings of his rants on my phone. Subtle hints dropped to neighbors about his temper. Suspense mounted as I planned the big reveal. Expose him, strip his facade. But doubt lingered. Was exposure enough? Or did betrayal demand blood? As part 1 crested, a storm raged outside, lightning cracking the sky. Frank confronted me in the hallway, his breath hot. I know you're up to something, kid. Watch your back. Fear spiked, but so did determination. The game had begun. Thunder rumbled through the house like a warning, shaking the foundations as I stood in the hallway, facing Frank's hulking form. His eyes narrowed, suspicion etching lines on his weathered face. You've been sneaking around, boy. Think I don't notice? My heart hammered, but I held his gaze, the air thick with ozone from the storm. Just helping Mom. That's why I'm here. The lie tasted bitter, but it bought time. He grunted, shouldering past me to the kitchen, grabbing a beer from the fridge with a pop that echoed like a gunshot. As he settled into his recliner, the TV blaring some mindless game show, I retreated upstairs, my mind a whirlwind of calculations. The loose bolt in his truck had been a test, non-lethal, but a whisper of what could come. Now, with his paranoia rising, tension coiled tighter. I couldn't afford slip-ups. In my room, rain lashing the window panes, I reviewed my notes. Bank statements I'd hacked from his computer, using skills from a college coding class, revealing embezzlement from his old shop. He'd skimmed funds, blamed employees, driven the business under. Proof of his rot. Guilt gnawed as I thought of Mom downstairs, knitting blankly, her world shrinking to this prison. Obsession drove me, revenge for her, for me. But moral conflict raged. Was I justified or just vengeful? Fantasies shifted from violence to precision. Frame him, let the law devour him. But doubt whispered of consequences. Her heartbreak if he went down. The next day dawned gray, puddles mirroring the overcast sky. I drove Mom to chemo, the hospital's sterile scent of bleach and despair clinging to us. In the waiting room, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, she squeezed my hand. Frank's been edgy since you came back. Promise me you'll try to get along. Her plea twisted the knife. I promise. But inside resentment flared. Why defend him? As the nurse called her, I stepped outside, the cool air a slap. I called an old friend, a lawyer in town, voice low. Hypothetically, if someone had evidence of fraud. He chuckled. Hypothetically. Send it over. The conversation felt natural, but tension hummed. First step toward retaliation. Back home, Frank was in the garage, tinkering with his truck. Tools clanged against metal, the sound grating. He emerged, wiping oil on his jeans. Where've you been? Doctor with Mom. I kept it curt, but his eyes probed. That evening, over dinner. Steak tough as leather, potatoes mushy. The atmosphere crackled. Frank forked his food aggressively. Heard you on the phone earlier. Who was that? Mom glanced up, worried. Frank, don't pry. But he leaned in, voice a growl. This is my house. I have a right. Suppressed rage bubbled. A friend. About a job. Lie, but it deflected. He smirked. Job. Good luck with that artsy crap. The jab stung, revealing his disdain. Motivated by jealousy of my freedom, perhaps. Layers peeled. Frank, abandoned by his own family young, had clawed for control, but it made him monstrous. Later, alone, I uploaded the evidence anonymously to a tip line for the local DA. Heart pounding, fingers hovering over send. Fear gripped, what if traced? But cold resolve won. Blick. The die cast. Suspense built over days. Frank grew irritable, snapping at Mom over trivialities. One night, as wind howled outside, he cornered me in the kitchen, the fluorescent light casting harsh shadows. I found that bolt loose on the truck. You're doing. Denial flashed. What? No. But my voice wavered. He grabbed my arm, twisting. Pain shot through, but I yanked free. Touch me again, and you'll regret it. His laugh was hollow. Big words, kid. But fear flickered in his eyes. First crack. Mom's health declined, her coughs echoing through the house like accusations. Guilt surged. My plan risked stressing her. Inner turmoil peaked. Abandon revenge. No, betrayal demanded justice. Then the payoff began. A knock at the door one rainy afternoon. 2 detectives. Badges gleaming under overcoats. Frank Harlan. We need to talk about financial irregularities at your former business. The color drained from his face. The living room suddenly claustrophobic with the scent of wet wool and tension. Mom gasped from the couch. What's this? Frank stammered. Must be a mistake. But as they questioned him, details spilling, dates, amounts, his facade crumbled. He shot me a glare, realization dawning. You little shit. The detectives noticed. Something to add, sir. I stayed silent, pulse racing. As they left, warning of charges, Frank exploded. You did this. After I took you in. Mom wept. Alex. Is it true? Heartbreak tore me. He hurt us, Mom. 4 years. She shook her head, denial deep. He provides. But the truth hung heavy. That night, storm raging anew, Frank packed a bag, muttering threats. This ain't over. He stormed out, truck roaring away. Relief washed, but obsession lingered. Was it enough? As Mom cried in my arms, guilt mixed with triumph. Weeks passed, the house quieter, Mom's treatments progressing without his shadow. But suspense simmered. Frank lurked, calls harassing. One evening he showed up drunk, pounding the door. Let me in. This is my home. I barred it, phone in hand for police. Through the peephole, his face twisted in rage. You'll pay, boy. Fear spiked, but resolve held. As sirens wailed in the distance, he fled. The twist came unexpectedly. Mom, recovering, confessed over tea one morning. Sunlight streaming through clean windows. I knew about the money, Alex. Helped him hide it. For us. Chuck jolted me. What? Her eyes met mine, layered with regret. After your dad died, we were broke. Frank. He saved us. But it went wrong. Betrayal doubled, her complicity. Heartbreak, resentment anew. Had my revenge targeted the wrong villain? Or both? In the end, charges stuck. Frank went to jail, Mom testified for leniency, her guilt evident. I left again, boarding a flight, the cycle broken but scars deep. Poetic justice. Or just consequences. The plane lifted, leaving home behind, but the pursuit echoed. Revenge's price paid in moral gray.